What is going on, everyone? Sxvii here, getting right into it with our draft classic season 17 weekly recaps. This week we had cross-conference matchups. So we're gonna have players from the Kyogre division face off against players from the Groudon division, which leads to some very interesting matchups. So how we're gonna do it this week is I picked 6 matches that I really wanted to cover, and Ant, which is another player in the league, which I'm actually covering his video. So go check out his video whenever he releases that, of the Groudon and Kyogre cross conference matchups. This is also going to happen week, I believe, 7, I want to say, or maybe it's 8. I think it's 8. So we'll be there again. But first up, we have a longtime friend of mine, Akeem, Kraken Nation, the person that really actually was one of the first people that really got me into Draft League. So really cool to see him. He's in a different conference. He's in the Groudon. Go up against TPA, which we've seen some progress with this season, and some fun games with him versus Cooley and some other, I forget what he played week 1, but his Electric Terrain team versus Akeem's. Akeem's team is very similar to Sean's, who we're also covering this week, with a Zeraora, Starmie, and Blacephalon core with something like Mandibuzz as well. A little bit of a different variation with Garchomp over Kyurem Black, and some other cool value picks like Passimian, Muck, and Fortress. What's cool about this is I get to cover some of the Groudon teams as well, which kind of showcase some of that stuff. So looking on face value, Zeraora looks really, really good here. Obviously, versus a team like TPA that doesn't really have great ground answers, Garchomp looks really solid here. Cresselia does obviously pose a little bit of a threat, but with stuff like Blacephalon and Mandibuzz being able to like knock off U-turn around the team, it's gonna be kind of tough to deal with. And TPA doesn't really have the best hazard removal, so I can really see something like a Chomp with Stealth Rock really pressuring this team really, really strongly, because of the fact that, you know, Starmie is around, but you use stuff like Primarina, which can offensively pressure it pretty solidly with Moonblast and such, and it's going to be kind of forcing that thing to click Rapid Spin. Obviously, Akeem's Spin Walker and Blacephalon isn't great, so you can't really super reliably deal with that, but I will say that it is really nice to have a really solid Garchomp matchup, and really makes things difficult for TPA here. I do think that Mega Electric probably stays on the bench. I don't think it really can do very much versus a Garchomp team, so I feel like it's probably staying there, though it does have some merit in maybe potentially being like a toxic set, potentially. Does obviously outspeed Mega Starmie and do things like, but yeah, I think Iron Moth also could be a little bit annoying here, but again, Garchomp does resist Dual Stab, so even something like Gleam is not going to do a whole lot. Primarina looks good here, so we're going to get into the actual match and see what these players end up bringing. So, I think it's Inker. Yes, Inker, the Inker. I always forget because these like newer players, I have to remember what's their username, because they sometimes don't match up. But Akeem is going to end up bringing a pretty standard team to what I feel like he should bring. Zeraora, solid here with Terrain, and just pivoting around. Garchomp obviously comes, Blacephalon, nothing really too out of ordinary on Akeem's side here. And then Inker is going to bring pretty standard stuff as well. Mega Electric ends up being benched. Dragovich actually feels like a decent matchup, but versus a team with Primarina, it's definitely not as good as it'd like to be. But otherwise, it's pretty solid. Like, Starmie's really the only way he can, other than Primarina, of course, that he can really take hits from that thing. So if Primarina and Starmie are chipped, like, that's a really solid way. And with Iron Leaves as well, it's definitely a very winnable matchup. I should have highlighted Iron Leaves. Actually, is a pretty solid matchup into Akeem here, though. I will say a lot of the mons he didn't end up bringing were very good into it, stuff like Fortress and Muck. Well, I guess Muck is not Psyblade. I have to remember it's not like a Rhytheon. So I really think Akeem can pretty freely lead Garchomp here. Like, it really matches up well in pretty much everything. I could see Flamey Inker leading like a Starmie and flip turning out, though I do also think Zeraora has some merit here as a lead. So honestly, I would probably lead Zeraora if I was Akeem, and then if I was Inker, maybe like probably just Coco and like U-turn out or something is probably my best lead there. He's gonna end up leading Garchomp as he ends up leading King Gambit, so kind of a bad opening matchup. I really don't love Gambit lead here. Like, it really doesn't do much other than like maybe potentially get like a flip turn on Starmie, but you know that like if he leads Starmie, then he just goes pretty much hard Mandibuzz, and he can kind of just like, I guess Mandibuzz doesn't really do that much back, but Primarina does take both, and you have to kind of make that prediction there, and you can potentially just get a ton of damage off of Moonblast. King Gambit's not bad, but I do think leading a Pokemon like King Gambit, which is a very solid late game sweeper, especially in this game, if you can chip down stuff like Mandibuzz and even something like Primarina doesn't even need that much chip because it's not super defensive. That thing just goes crazy with Sucker Punch. Like, he does not have great ways around that. So I think leading that was kind of a mistake. I think something like Coco at the very least would have been good, because then you can, like, if you're like Shuka or something, you can like get a ton of damage off in this Garchomp. And you can, I think Coco would have been a better lead. Even something like Starmie would have been solid here as well. So you can end up going for rocks, and at this point, he's going to trade rocks. So you can kind of see that that was the rationale there with King Gambit there. Is just trading rocks there, which is fine. But, you know, again, Mandibuzz is a pretty solid check there. And Rocks does kind of eliminate the fact that King Gambit can kind of, like, I don't think I mean, I guess with Blacephalon, it's, like, kind of nice. Because, yeah, it outspeeds Verizia. But, like, you know, you have an Iron Moth, which is, like, relatively bulky. You can take it. Most likely going to be Scarf Blacephalon, though, so you do want to kind of chip that thing down. So, end up going to go Iron Leaves on this Mandibuzz here, or on the double. They're both going to double out here. Not very good on Inker's part, so it's very free U-turn on Akeem's part here. Could have gone for Defog, but U-turn is just better there. Going to go right back into the Garchomp, and this is just a great situation to be in. He's actually going to be faster, so he ends up being Scarf Rocks, which is awesome. Loved lead Scarf Rocks on Akeem's part. It's kind of like a weird thing, but it's, again, you know, you outspeed with Earthquake. Like, he does not have great ground resistances, so if Cresselia's not around, like, that's great. Obviously, Rock's a great mid-ground to something like Crest, so without Crest around, like, Garchomp looks like it's gonna feast this game. So he basically is forced to go Iron Leaves here, and from there, you know, gets an attack boost, which is very nice, but I don't see a ton of close combat switch-ins here. And obviously Mandibuzz is their obvious switch-in. So you can even just go for something like Swords Dance into like Wild Charge and be able to take out this Mandibuzz. He is ended up being close combat. I don't know what that damage is, but is unfortunately not going to a KO. As Mandibuzz is just going to come in a U-turn. I do think running Wild Charge on this thing would have been like very, very awesome, because you have both Electric Terrain boost and you're super effective. It is a little bit hard to click into something like a Zeraora, and maybe he was predicting like a Zeraora double there, but I don't know. I feel like that was a little bit tough of a play to make. So maybe he did have Wild Charge, and it was a tough positioning to be in, but Akeem's going to come out with that on top and go right back out into Garchomp. So at this point, you have no switch-ins to this thing, and yeah, Starmie is going to take some chip. It's not Boots, so can go into Prim, solid Starmie check. We'll see if it ends up being leftovers, Assault Vest, ends up being no item revealed, so it could be Specs, could be, don't know that Rapid's been damaged, but it did a decent amount, so I'm thinking maybe like max HP Specs or something like that. Specs looks really solid here. Ends up being Calm Mind, so it's probably like, is it like Resist Berry, like Kebia Berry? Maybe it's Wakan. I think Wakan makes a little bit more sense because it does better into Coco and into Manectric, so it ends up being a Calm Mind variant. Sludge Wave is going to be just missing out on the KO, which means that Akeem is going to pick up the KO with Scald there. So Akeem expertly EVing. Everything is living on very minimal health. So Dracovish is going to be able to come in. He's going to sack it off. Great play. Obviously, you don't really need Primarina anymore. And obviously going into anything is not going to be great. So we'll see if this thing ends up being Scarfish this round. Shouldn't be able to kill even then. It does a lot of damage. Scarfish strength 63%. So that's going to be a lot there. But Akeem is going to get the Rapid Spin off. Great bring with Rapid Spin there. Going to make it so that Scarf Blacephalon can do a lot in the late game. And now you're faster than this Dracovish. Now, if I were him, I'd probably make the double into King Gambit because you're in a weird situation here. You can even make the double into Starmie, but Starmie's not going to appreciate that at all. And at the very least, with King Gambit, you can force that potential Zen Headbutt. And yeah, so he's gonna make the double into King Gambit. Is gonna gonna make the read there. He's not gonna make the read. So Inker makes a great play and goes into King Gambit, trying to preserve any chance he has of winning this game. And at this point, you kind of have to make a solid play. I think you go Iron Head here and try to take out the to take that out. But he's then going to go for Swords Dance. Another great play there. You know that he's not going to want to risk his Starmie. I think honestly going for Aqua Jet and just like Jet the King Gambit would have been a solid play as well there, but you do not want to potentially lose that late game to Sucker Punch. So he's going to Foul Play and unfortunately going to do 42%. That does so much damage. He's going to end up Swords Dancing again here. He's going to Roost and gets the call right and ends up going for the Iron Head here, or Knockoff, same thing. Good call on Akim's part, but at this point, yeah, there's really no reason to try to predict around Sucker. So, yeah, so you're going to knock that off, and now you're into Blacephalon. And at this point, this is like one of those situations where, like, yeah, you're probably not going to win, but, like, you just go for knock there. Because, like, you know that this Blacephalon's most likely Scarf, and he's probably going to do something to, like, he's probably going to trick. He's probably going to, like, you outspeed a Starmie, so, like, this thing's either going to go for trick or he's going to go for, like, encore. So either way, Sucker fails, and yeah, so Akeem is going to go for trick. So now you are locked in to Sucker here, and he ends up, or he's going to lock himself in a knockoff, which I think just clicking Sucker there was, like, the play to make. Like, I don't think you would run both trick. I guess you could run, like, Fire Blast, trick, Shadow Ball, and then, like, encore or something, and then switch out and, like, try to, like, do that and, like, stall that out, or, like, trick again. I don't even know what you would do. But not going for Sucker there was just, like, such a waste, because, like, what's, like, he has nothing for Sucker. I guess you could, like, Aqua Jet your Starmie, like, Aqua Jet with Starmie twice, but, like, you have a Scarf Dracovish, and that nothing switches into Vicious Ren. So I think that was a little bit of a misplay on Inker's part, because Sucker Punch that late game just killed. So I guess he was maybe fearing, like, an encore or something, but good playing around the Suckers beforehand. But unfortunately, Akeem is going to come out with this exchange on top again, and is going to kind of wrap up this game, because this thing is going to be faster. Obviously he's not Scarf anymore, so now you can go into something like your Zero Aura. He is going to be faster than the Scarf Dracovish, which is really nice. Vicious Ren is still going to do massive amounts of damage. I guess the fact that this thing doesn't outspeed Zero Aura is kind of unfortunate for Inker's part. I thought it did. So I guess at that point you can go into Starmie, but then you get a Vicious off and then you kill something. But I think that would have put it in range of Plasma Fist anyway. So a little bit of a tough end game there for Inker, but I do think it was definitely winnable. But Akeem is going to kind of just wrap this game up with Plasma Fist at the end of it. Ends up being a leftovers Zero Aura variant, which makes sense versus a team with electric terrain, and Monza can't super threaten Zero Aura with, like, Tapu Koko and Manak Trick. So yeah, that's going to be the game. Akeem's going to come out on top in this game, and ends up being Rocky Helmet Starmie, which is interesting. For assumedly Starmie. So overall, I think it was a solidly played game in Inker. I think really the only notes I would make is definitely playing Sucker Punch differently, but it's one of those scenarios where it's really hard to predict, so I'm not going to really knock him too much for that. But Akeem 3-0, and kind of making a big comeback this season. Not that he was really he's kind of been on the come up for the end of this generation anyway. I would say he's been a lot more consistent in recent generations, or in recent seasons, than he has been in the past. I feel like in the past it was always him kind of scraping by to get the playoffs, and then usually losing in the first or second round. But I feel like he's definitely made a lot more of a push to be a lot more consistent in the early season, and yeah, let's hope that momentum keeps going. I'm really rooting for him, and I think Inker played a great game, and I think he's going to be a player that you really cannot sleep on with stuff like King Gambit, and yeah, so moving on here to the next game that we're going to go over, we have Tavin OKC, first on our list, not Van. We have OKC versus Myrtle Beach Pelipers. Little background with Paco, another long-term player. He's been around since I want to say season 9 or previous, so at least past 4 years. And another great player, and obviously Tavin, we've covered his games in the past, and he's another solid player with a solid team. So matchup wise, I think Paco's team, I wasn't a huge fan of it this season, with full discretion. I think it's a little bit offensive, but it kind of lacks that defensive oomph that I really love. Offensively, it's great. Like, it's got solid things. Its speed tier, not great. I think Tapu Koko to Zarude is not great. Though Zarude and Landorus are both solid Scarfers. You don't really love running Scarf Landorus super often, and Scarf Zarude is amazing, but you're really missing out on that between tier. And this is a great example. Roaring Moon is a Pokemon that is, I believe, is it faster than... I don't think it's faster than Zarude Adamant. I think it's, 337? So it's one of these, like, lucky matchups where OKC doesn't have any Pokemon in the 120 to 125 range that could really kind of exploit. More so in the 125 to, or like 121 to the 130 range. Not like the best Pokemon crop in that area, but those can all run Adamant here. Though, I will digress, not as bad of a speed gap as I was kind of initially perceiving. Megalop is great. Have we gone over any Megalop teams with Sword Stance? I guess Jatun's team. But Megalop on the Groudon side. Into this team, it's not amazing. Like, it's, you know, great close combat, but like with Zapdos there, Tapu Fini, it's definitely gonna struggle a little bit, especially versus Zapdos. If that's Zapdos' helmet, or if it's like static, which it's most likely static and it's most likely helmet, it's gonna be tough. Zapdos honestly kind of poses a lot of threats to this team in general, so kind of leveraging something like a Glimmora could be good. I can actually see something like a Regice being solid here. It does decent versus stuff like Mamoswine, can take on Fini relatively well, hits Brambleghast super effectively, and you can usually take a hit from that. So I actually think Regice is a very, very reasonable ring here, and it takes Mega Zamon relatively okay as well. And Roaring Moon, you know, it can't really hit you super hard. The only Pokemon that's really kind of bad into is Koba, and you actually could run like something like a Body Press or like a Thunder Wave. So I actually really would love a Regice in this matchup. But that being said, it's most likely not being brought, so we'll see. Coco obviously is solid here. Megalop's got to come. Zarude's okay. Again, versus Koba, it's like not amazing here. But most likely gonna be Scarf with like Knock. So I think if Tavin can... Cobalion is a really solid matchup here. If he can leverage, it's, you know, pivoting in, it can get up rocks relatively for free, and honestly Glimmora is like his really only like solid way of removing hazards here. So yeah, if he can just, like, Cobalion's actually very good into Glimmora, like it takes an Earth Power, can revenge it back with a Steel move, and yeah, it's gonna be really tough for, I think, Paco to really break through that Cobalion. He obviously has Megalop, but like can't switch in, and then everything else kind of struggles with it. So like Landorus is obviously a really solid breaker into this team. But yeah, I think Tavin can probably either use something like a Brambleghast, maybe. It can use, like, Zapdos is obviously solid into that. So I think, I would say with Tavin's side, Zapdos, Cobalion, Roaring Moon most likely, Alakazam, and then like probably just Fini and I can see Mamo. Mamo is probably his best last Pokemon. It's good for Landorus, good for Coco. Yeah, I think that's Tavin team. Paco side, Lop, Lop, Coco, Zarude, Landorus, Glimmora, and then I would probably love to see Regice, but he's probably going to bring Iron Crown. Iron Crown, solid versus Zam, but otherwise is, it's decent versus Zapdos too. It's just one of those Pokemon that's really hard to kind of make the best set for. Like, it's kind of meh into Fini. I guess it can Volt Switch on it. So yeah, I think Crown or Regice are both solid here. Okay, so we'll see what they end up bringing. Tavin brings the exact team that we were expecting from him, and Paco's gonna end up bringing the Jellicent over the what's it called? I don't even remember what the last Pokemon I said you should bring is. Iron Crown. Yeah, I didn't love Jellicent in this matchup. Like, it's weak to Roaring Moon, it's weak to Zapdos. It's like okay versus, it's not even that good versus Fini, like String Sap. I guess it's good in Cobalion, so he's probably like, oh, Cobalion's really bad. But I think like an Iron Crown kind of does that better, because you outspeed Mamoswine. Like, you're a better Mamoswine check, so maybe he was like really fearing Mamoswine. Again, very reasonable, because Mamoswine is very good in this matchup. But that's why I would love, like, again, would have loved to see Regice here. Like something like Body Press on Regice would have been really solid into there, and then you could maybe like pivot around. So maybe like dropping something like Glimmora for Regice would have been solid here, because Glimmora is good, but like it doesn't really beat stuff. And Regice is a solid Zapdos check. So I think, yeah, dropping Glimmora would have been good here. Obviously you're kind of bad in hazards, but maybe just run like Boots on like Coco, and you run like Boots Jellicent, and you run like maybe even like a Boots, obviously Boots Regice. So gonna lead Lop. I think solid lead here. And he's gonna just go for Fake Out here. Solid, most likely thinking Sash lead Mamo. I think Scarf Mamo has a lot of merit this matchup, so I would definitely have been scared for that. And would I have expected what comes next? Probably not. So Scarf Superpower is what ends up coming next. I think going Jellicent was a safer play there, 100%. Like, yes, you do deny rocks if he is like a Sash lead, but you also don't lose your Lopunny, which is going to be really nice to breaking stuff like the Cobalion. Though it's, again, a Pokemon that's like not like it's not having an amazing matchup here, so it's not the end of the world. Most likely going to go something like Jellicent next here, or Landorus, both of which are solid plays. You could even gone something like Coco to get up terrain. But he's going to take this time to get up his rocks. As he goes Sludge Wave, does a solid chunk to Zapdos, but unfortunately not going to really be like a little bit off the mark there in terms of getting that to a KO. So he's going to Sludge Wave again, does about 49%. Again, very hard to tell what's going on here. So he's going to go for Sludge Wave again. He's going to go for Roost. So he's going to get Zapdos super, super low. I think getting a knockoff would have been nice. I think knock on Landorus allows a lot of progress for something like Zapdos. So you could like maybe have knocked the Zapdos. Obviously, you do risk your static, but you can get that knock, and then you get the Stealth Rocks up, and then at that point you can make sure that this thing is like not being able to come in. So at this point, you're going to be able to switch into Jellicent. You're going to go Spear, does absolutely nothing. We know this thing is Scarf now. So at this point, it does get the 4 hits, which not the end of the world, but I'm going to sack the Zapdos here. But he ends up going into Glimmora on the double. So could have sacked the Zapdos, but now you potentially... Obviously, Zapdos' usage is a little bit lower, but it can at least come in maybe on like an Earth Power on Landorus or something like that. So, or maybe even Earth Power on this Glimmora. So he's probably scouting for the Scarf Glimmora here, which it might have actually been. Who knows? But Iron Defense Koba is going to come in here, and he's going to go for Body Press. That's a solid chunk, but is going to take Massive and just die. So I don't know if I 100% agree with that play. I think sacking Zapdos would have been better there, or at the very least, like, yeah, sack Zapdos, go Mamo. Or sack Zapdos and then go something like your Roaring Moon and U-turn. Like, you got to get some momentum versus this Landorus, or at least force it to, like, kind of go 1v1 with you. So gonna go for knockoff here. There's the play that we wanted to see. So gonna knock off the leftovers on Jellicent. He's gonna knock off twice. Think that was a little bit, like, you're fishing for crit, but like that was, you might have lost your Mamo, which I think could have lost you the end game. So I think Paco making the safe read there, like, yes, is like good, but you don't really need health on Jellicent. Like, I would much rather, like, in Paco's head, he's probably thinking, okay, he probably goes Sxvii, like, he knows that he doesn't kill me with another knockoff. So he probably thinks, okay, he's going to go Sxvii here, let me get the recover off, so let me not go for Scald. So I don't think going for knock was ever the play with Mamo. Maybe he was like, oh, I live Scald anyway, so it's fine. So who knows? But yeah, now he's going to go for Scald and take out the Zapdos. Roaring Moon's going to come in. This we know is not Colbur, so can go into something like Coco. I think Coco's solid here. Gonna knock off Coco's Shuckleberry, which is good. And at this point, we can. He's gonna lose Booster, but he's gonna go Gleam on that. And quickly. Okay. So back to the game. Yeah, he's gonna go for Gleam. Doesn't to a kill Mamo, so not that he would say in any way. But Icicle Spear here on the assumedly coming in Lando. So Pac makes a good play there, good read, and he's gonna get 4 hits again. A little unfortunate, but ends up going into his Glim, predicting the Tapu Fini. He's gonna Sludge Wave as Toppin is gonna go for a Surf and just kill Glimmora. I think Scarf Glimmora could have actually been really, really good in in the late game. Like, it's outspeed Scarf Mamo. Power Gem is pretty free here. Obviously, Roaring Moon can take it, but if you get that thing a little chipped. So losing Glimmora definitely sucks, because now you're kind of in position. I guess, again, like Scarf Zarude is still around. You can probably take a Dazzling Gleam or Focus Blast. Or probably not Focus Blast, depending if you're Chopper or not. But Landorus is going to come in. He's going to go for Sludge Wave. It obviously is not Scarf, so he can do that. And I think revenging with Lando was tough, because you kind of wanted Lando for preventing Earthquake spam, right? Like, obviously you have Zarude, but it does make it a little bit harder to click. So Sheer Force, now you have a Sheer Force Alakazam. But this Zarude is very obviously going to be Scarf. Is he going to go for the U-turn? Yes, he does. Would knockoff had been better? Maybe, but you know that knockoff most likely doesn't kill Alakazam, so U-turn is your best play there. But now you have nothing to outspeed this Mamo, and he can just pretty freely go for Earthquake. So now you're kind of at an advantage where, like, saving that Landorus and positioning is really, really important. Again, I don't know what the correct series of plays would have been. Probably, like, going your Zarude on that Feeny and, like, going for something like... I know U-turn probably didn't kill, but something like... Because then your Roaring Moon is there. Yeah, I think Coco, because you know it's not Scarf, right? And you, like, if you're going Lando anyway, expecting if you're Scarf Glamora and you think it's Scarf Feeny for some reason, then you wouldn't go Landorus anyway. So I would have gone Coco, and then at that point, at least you're like making him make a play to like try to outspeed that. Yeah, obviously he could go Mega Sam, but then you still have a sack, you know, like not having that is tough. So yeah, you're gonna knock off the Mamo's Choice Scarf, but now he gets to go into Roaring Moon. So you know he's Earthquake here. I don't think ever, like, you always go U-turn here, right? Like, you always go U-turn. I guess not always, right? Because, if you think that the Mamo Swine is gonna, like, if he's gonna switch out, but, like, U-turn is gonna do a massive amount of damage to either of Roaring Moon or... Oh, this is a great song. Yeah, I think you wanted to go clicking to click U-turn there, or at least something like CC to prevent what's it called? Prevent Roaring Moon from setting up, because if Roaring Moon sets up, then you're toast. Because now you can just go into Coco. And I think that was kind of like a crucial misplay there. I don't know if you can kill Zam from full with Zarude. But you definitely are not going to be able to kill Roaring Moon from full with Acrobatics. So, yeah, that's going to be the game. Again, I don't think there was really much that Paco could have done, but I think Close Combat probably would have killed the Roaring Moon. So I think going that, forcing Zam to come in, you go make the double into Coco, because both Pokemon can do that. Again, it's probably going to come down to endgame where Paco wins anyway, or Tavin wins anyway 1-0, but... I think the positioning. So I think my preliminary thoughts is I think Tavin played super well. I do think that the sacking of the Cobalion was like maybe the only thing I saw that was like kind of something I wouldn't have done. And Paco, I feel like definitely had like solid plays in there, like going Jelly and stuff, and like playing around that really well. But like I think it really just came down to number one, like having better checks to stuff like Mamo Swine and Roaring Moon. I think Regice could have done that really, really well here. Obviously, you do negate a check to Cobalion, but I feel like Glamora, while very offensively potent, unfortunately just wasn't going to be enough on the defensive end to really warrant it, because it's obviously I can just do a feeding, but like I don't know. I guess if you're worried about a Calm Mind Feeny, that could be annoying, but I don't know. I feel like if you're worried about Calm Mind Feeny, you have Zarude anyway, so it's like you don't really care, and you also have like a Jellicent with potentially like Haze or something, so, or like Toxic, I guess. I don't know, but you have a Coco, so you can kind of get rid of like terrain stuff. So overall, I think Paco's thing was just positioning. I think he just kind of like went for the play that was like getting rid of the Mon in front of it, but kind of like neglecting to think about the Pokemon coming after it. So, okay, moving on to our next matchup, which is going to be Cooley, which is the Miami Dawn fans, versus BBM, which is Gwinderace. Don't know what that stands for. Gwinderace is a draft class, both actually draft classic champions. I think Cooley won our low tier season last season, and then I believe Gwinderace run juniors of one of the other leagues. On rip, Dragapult looks great, though I do think stuff like Speed Booster Iron Valiant could be really good. Chiyu looks really good. Obviously Starmie, but like a Scarf Chiyu just like might run through this team if Clef, Mega Clef is in position that is not conducive to it. Mega Scizor looks amazing here. Like it just kind of knocks off Corviknight for free. Can you turn around? Roost, kind of just annoying for this team. Rotom looks amazing. So I think Scizor, Rotom should come for sure. I think Chiyu could be benched, but I think you kind of want to bring it versus Corviknight. Petron's feel like it's got to come for Clefable. Iron Valiant's definitely coming. And then I think your last one is like Crook. So you probably bring Crook, Petch, Roden Wash, Scizor, Iron Valiant, probably Chi-Yu. Though if you do want to bring the Noivern, I can kind of see it. Like, it's not amazing though. Like, it doesn't outspeed Darkrai, it doesn't outspeed Dragapult. Yeah. I think you leave Noivern on the bench today. So yeah, pretty simple top 6 for Cooley, and then for Gwenderace, I'd probably say Dragapult. I feel like Darkrai. I don't think he ends up bringing Darkrai, but I think that's a really solid bring into Petron. I think you bring Mega Clef. Corviknight feels really good here. And then you probably want something better. Like, Petron is not amazing to Corv. I think maybe bring something like either Mirror Armor, so you don't get like worn down by Shadow Ball Spidef drops randomly. And then I think probably just Starmie maybe. Like, I think it's not amazing. Like, you really don't want to bring Phalanx, but like, it does have okay matchup here. Like, if you get a boost and you can get rid of Petron, it's not bad. But Scizor, like, the matchup is kind of bad. So you probably bring like Clodsire, honestly. I think Clodsire is probably like, it's solid. It's like decent Iron Battle check and like take a hit from stuff like Petron and stuff at the like. And then last, probably, like, I don't even know what you bring last. Probably Starmie, I guess, right? Okay, we'll see if he ends up bringing. Oh, I forgot that he has an Arcanine now. That's my bad. So we got rid of Arcanine. Maybe he got rid of like Arbo and something else. Maybe like a DD. Maybe got rid of a DD. So he brought Arcanine. Arcanine obviously is a better Pokemon than some of the other Pokemon. Though if he did still have. I do think not bringing Darkrai was a mistake, though. So I think I would have brought that over something like the Starmie. Because, like, at least you resist something like a Crook thing. Like, it's offensively deals with the majority of his team. Like, what does Starmie beat that Darkrai doesn't? Like, I guess you resist Bullet Punch, but you have an Arcanine. So, like, I'm not super big on that. Yeah, I think Darkrai was, like, way, way better here. Maybe he got rid of it. I don't know. But I think if he had Darkrai, bring Darkrai. Okay, so leads on Cooley's part. Roden Wash, always a solid one. I think Winderace leading something like Dragapult is fine. Yeah, we'll see what they end up leading. Ends up leading Crook versus Starmie. So kind of a weird lead matchup. Like, Crook probably doesn't die to a water move, and Starmie probably dies to knock. So you probably flip turn here if you have it into Corviknight. He's going to go Roden Wash. Does he have the flip turn? He does have the flip turn. Great play. Goes into the Corviknight. And he actually goes in Clodsire. Okay, so I would try Hazard Attacking here. Because, like, you're kind of relying on Defog Rotom. If you can get, like, a Rocks up here, that'd be really nice for Chi-Yu and stuff. So just getting up Rocks would be really solid here. Let's see what it ends up doing. Gonna end up getting up his Rocks. Perfect. Calculated. Gonna go Hard Corv. Most likely gonna give his own Rocks here. Ends up going for Taunt. Okay, so he's going to prevent getting any other spikes up there. And also preventing Corviknight from roosting. So I think at this point you just go for the U-turn. Unfortunately, not U-turning there is bad. Like, maybe you're a body press set, the IDEF body press. U-turn was the play there. Because at least you get some chip on the Crocodile. But that, I digress, right? Like, Crocodile is good to get some chip on. Okay, so he goes Clef. He's not going to Mega. He's going to go for Moonblast, get a crit, which is kind of unfortunate. Most likely going to go for either Defog or Pain Split. He goes for the Defog, and he's going to go for Cosmic Power. Almost said CP. And that's going to be a little tough. I think that a Moonblast, Cosmic Power, Soft-Boiled, Stored Power Set can be really interesting. And actually potentially game-winning. But we'll see if he ends up having Flamethrower here. Because you can go Cosmic Power again. If he had Store Power here, it does a lot. I don't think I would really care. I think I would honestly just Cosmic Power, and then, like, I would just take the Malignant Chain. I think he was probably playing the long game here. But going to Clodsire on this Petron is going to be really tough because you're going to be in a position that doesn't, like, you're going to lose the momentum. So go for Rocks here again if you are so brave. Please. Yes, yes, yes. So gonna go Corv again. We'll see if he keeps going for Taunt. Solid play. Gonna go straight into Petron here. And again, Body Press is gonna be exposed. I think again, U-turn always the play. You don't go for Body Press versus a Petron team. So now you've lost the momentum again, and now Cooley's gonna be able to get rid of those Rocks. So Defog's there. Ends up gonna be faster than Arcanine, but it ends up being Teleport. I would have loved to see something like a Toxic there. Versus That, or at least like a Willow, something to like chip this thing down. Teleport's not bad, but I think just staying in there in general was kind of an interesting play. You know he's going to defog, but that's fine. I would have probably gone into something like Clef again. I think going into your Dragapult, it's a little bit preemptive, especially since you're not going to be able to kill this Rotom, and now you're going to get your Dragapult paralyzed for nothing. So I think that was definitely a big misplay on Gwyn's part. I think like very short-sighted. Like, yeah, you resist both their stabs, but like he's gonna have T-Wave, he's gonna have something, right? Now he can pretty freely Pain Split here, so that's really, really bad. So not only are you not that, but he ends up being faster than the Rotom, which is good for him. But if he had Pain Split and he was faster, then that would have been really bad. So gonna bringing the Iron Valiant. I might have even been Scarf, who knows? Maybe for something like the Booster Bow. I don't know that damage, but that Shadow Ball did a good chunk, so maybe it's Modest Scarf. I don't know. Ends up being Calm Mind on Iron Val, and at this point you can Side Shock and just do half to this Clodsire. Doesn't have the Sludge Wave, like any kind of poison move, which I think is again a little short-sighted. I think getting Sludge Wave would have put that thing in a great position. At this point you can Side Shock twice and kill the Clodsire. So yeah, that's going to be Iron Valley in a great positioning there, and now you can pretty freely go into your Petron here on the Arcanine. You don't have rocks anymore, so you can't whirlwind that out. And I think losing Claude was really, really bad. Most likely, I don't know if he was probably Magikarp on Clef, right? You know, there wasn't a lot of great ways to deal with that. What's it called? The Iron Valiant, but you knew that he was Side Shock. He was most likely going to be Moonblast for this, and he what is he gonna have for this thing? He might be Focus Blast, but I think more than I guess Focus Blast would probably be the best last move, but like he doesn't want to risk that. So at the very least, like you could risk Arcanine there, like it's solid, but yeah, this Roar is not really doing anything because you don't have any rocks or anything. So Dark Pulse is gonna come off. He's gonna teleport. It doesn't even have the CC, but he's most likely I don't know what that damage is though. He's not Scarf though, and ends up being slower and then just gets killed by Dark Pulse. So yeah, like flip turning was the play there. Like I don't think you know that this thing is some kind of booster item, right? So I think going flip turn, you know he's gonna Dark Pulse and you can just flip turn out into your Clef, and then you're getting damage and putting this thing in range of Scald. So very, very bad play. Just stay in and lose your Starmie. So I think just like for reference, just making sure that just know that a move kills before you do it, because if you know it doesn't, if you're thinking it doesn't kill, or like doing the calcs like, hey, this doesn't kill, like if you get out prepped with like a really bulky variant of something that is usually not bulky, that's fine. But like you knew that Shadow Ball was never killing, you knew that Scald was most likely not killing. Like these are things you can very easily know in prep. So if like you know based on that Dark Pulse damage, it's most likely not going to be Scarf. I mean it could have been Scarf, but regardless, I think going flip turn into some of the Clef was the best play there. You know he's going to Dark Pulse, and you shouldn't die to a Fire Blast. If you want to be cheeky, you can go back into Arcanine after that. So yeah, that would have been, that was a really tough play. Lose Starmie, like it's not like the worst thing in the world, but you lose a Pokemon that can defensively deal with Scizor, offensively deal with Crocodile, and then you also lose a Pokemon that can offensively deal with both Petron and Iron Valiant and Chi-Yu. So like you're losing a really offensively, like it's Starmie had a great matchup at this late game, and now your Petron looks so annoying in this late game. Yeah, like you have a paralyzed Dragapult, but like you know takes Shadow Balls, it's slower. Like yeah. So now he's gonna go Petron again. He's gonna Moonblast. Like going for Cosmic Power was like what you needed to do there to win the game. So yeah, you're switching hard into Dragapult. Like yeah, you like take Malignant Chain to Shadow Ball, but like just like you know, and now you're forced to go Shadow Ball. It does 32, which is solid damage. Again, would have been more if you turned with Corviknight. Now you can very freely go for knockoff or rocks. Gonna get off the helmet, which is fine. Makes Scizor great in the end game. Gonna go hard Petch. Gonna go body press again. Body pressing on a Petra team is not the way to go. So he's gonna Roost. Yay, you get back to full. And at this point, you can go for U-turn because that's most likely what I would have done. Gonna recover, and you're gonna Morning Sun. So teleport, Roar, Morning Sun, and most likely like Flamethrower. So not getting any Malignant Chain. Maybe he's what's it called? And he ends up being like Helmet too, so that's gonna be really annoying. Yeah, like this Petron can't be beaten by this. He could also be, what's it called? What's the one that like removes secondary effects? Covert Cloak Arcanine. We'll see. I don't know if he'd switch on rocks. Flare Blitz gets a crit, but again with Helmet, it's like you're just losing health. Recover is just, yeah, like, so now you're like trying to use Clef to 1v1 this thing. Like I don't love that, because you have a Corviknight that can like do stuff. Like Shadow Ball is not great, but like, are you pressure or yeah, you're pressure. So even if you get like, I don't know, like this end game was like really meh to me. Like, yeah, Flamethrower, yeah, so he ends up like being Flamethrower, not Stored Power, which is fine. Just like, and ends up getting paralyzed. So yeah, this game definitely, like, I don't think Cooley played like every turn fine. I think Windrace played the game or beginning game flawlessly, like trading rocks, doing this and that, and then just like getting either impatient or what. Like, Iron Defense Body Press Corv is never winning versus a team with Petron. You have to know that in prep. I'm sorry to say, you have to know the prep. And it's most likely why he wasn't U-turning, right? It's a Pokemon that you can use if there's a Petron team. It's going to be really bad, and you can run, like, again, Iron Defense Body Press inherently is not bad versus the team, but you have to have ways to like get around it, right? You look at this team in Miami, and probably gonna be Brave Bird for the Iron Valiant, but like, I don't hate running U-turn there, I guess. I don't know, like, I guess, yeah, it's fine running Iron Head, Body Press, Iron Defense, like Spadef, but like, you have to know that Petron's gonna be just a pain in your ass. So at that point, so I think the main thing was just sacking Starmie, and then like not running Stored Power. Like, Cosmic Power was a great set, but run Stored Power, Cosmic Power. Like, Cooley was not playing around that properly. Like, he should have gone hard into something like his Petron or his, or I guess he did he go into his Petron? I don't remember. But like trying to fish for confusions with Toxic. So that was your play there. Or like going hard Scizor and like trying to prevent that thing from just setting up. Obviously, if you don't know it's Cosmic Power, I would have probably thought if I saw Cosmic Power, it's probably Stored Power. But you obviously have to respect Flamethrower as well. But if he's Flamethrower, he's not Stored Power. And then if he's not Stored Power, he's probably not going to be able to break through Petron. So yeah, think that the Petron matchup was just not great. Because like defensively you deal with it fine. Offensively, no. So, and also getting Dragapult paralyzed for nothing. So yeah, good game to Cooley. Gonna end up not even being Mirror Armor, so he can kind of 1v1 the Corviknight with Shadow Ball, when in reality you would be able to beat that 1v1. And yeah, like you could stall that thing. He stalled him out of Shadow Balls, which is good. So now you just kind of gotta like play around with body presses. And he's gonna get a kill on Crocodile, and now he's gonna be able to outspeed and just go into his Chi-Yu. So yeah, like that's gonna be that. And yeah, so Cooley's gonna wrap up this game. So that is that. Okay, moving on to my game. We are going up against Folty. Folty is a Brit. And we also going to be a Mio matchup, which is going to be really, really awesome. Actually awesome. Delphox versus Delphox matchup. Looking on paper, Pokemon that look good on my end. By the way, with transactions in, I now have Fezandipity over Grimmsnarl and Hatchrim over Eldegoss. If you saw that in the beginning of last week's video, go check that out. On paper, both Delphoxes look like they have solid matchups. Delphox on my end pretty much decimates with Flamethrower, Psyshock, and Shadow Ball. Something like Blastoise can be a solid check to it. I also think something like a Protecteon Mega could be really solid in the late game if we can chip it down with like rocks or something. Miss Magius can be good, but I think most likely going to be Scarf Sneasler is his way of dealing with that. And then on his end, Delphox also looks really good. I think it's going to kind of struggle with move slots. I think he definitely wants to run Flamethrower, like my team is pretty fire weak. Does he want to run Dazzling Gleam for the Garchomp? He probably wants to run something like Willow for stuff like Garchomp or Ogerpon Wellspring. Probably wants Shadow Ball for Delphox. And then the last one is probably going to be Psyshock for stuff like Fezandipity to hit that a little bit harder. Also hit something like Slitherwing, and Garchomp reasonably hard. So Willow, Flamethrower, Shadow Ball, Psyshock feels pretty solid here. Will-O-Wisp also allows for the Bisharp matchup to be a little bit better. So yeah, I think that's like a solid bring. Yeah, Psyshock also could potentially be Psychic if he doesn't really care about Pheasantipity and like just wants to like hit Slitherwing harder. I actually think Psyshock hits it harder because their defense is lower. But if he wants to hit something like Cofagrigus can get by Shadow Ball. So I think Psyshock is your best way to go about it because it can beat something like Calm Mind Terapagos if that gets out of hand. So yeah, I think Psyshock is his better bring. So Scarf Sneasler feels like the best here. Poison Touch, U-Turn, Close Combat, Throat Chop, and last move probably Gunk. Or even like Dire Claw. I think Dire Claw can be really, really annoying for my team. So relying on that could be solid. You're really only clicking Dire Claw into like, I mean, even to like Cofagrigus can be really annoying. Like, yeah, it's not amazing into something like Garchomp, but at least you could potentially get Sleep, get Fishes. It's a way to stay in with Ogerpon, but also it hits Pheasantipity neutrally. Maybe you want to run something like Zen for Pheasantipity, but I feel like Dire Claw or Gunk Shot are both hitting Pheasantipity reasonably hard anyway. So Mismagius has solid matchup here, though I do think that Yanmega is slightly better and does a similar role. Yanmega actually is really, really good into my team with like Bug Buzz, Protect Speed Boost set with Air Slash and Shadow Ball. Like it hits basically my entire team. So if you're seeing this faulty and we end up playing in playoffs, there you go. I gave you the fact that Mismagius is worse than Yanmega. Great Tusk I feel like has to come here. It's just too good of a Pokemon to wall something like Garchomp. Offensively deal with Fez. Can deal with Slitherwing okay, though the set that I have can't really deal with it. And it has good utility like Knock, Rapid Spin, Rocks, and then like just Headlong Rush. I think all of those, like that 4 moves are just solid here. Like you're not really dealing with Slitherwing that well, but like you weren't really dealing with it anyway, so getting up Rocks versus is like passable. Rillaboom's solid here. You turning around. It's not great, but like it kind of has 4 move slot syndrome. You want like knockoff for stuff like Delphox. You want high horsepower for Pheasantipity. Though I will say grass moves in general are like decent here. Resisted, but like still gonna be solid. I think U-turn knock. Something like high horsepower is pretty good. You don't really need, I think like a Scarf set, you don't really need Grassy Glide, so I think you can just run like U-turn, U-turn knock, Wood Hammer, or like other grass move, and then high horsepower. Seems solid here. Blastoise, if it's coming, I feel like it's got to be like a Shell Smash variant, because I feel like offensively does really well here. Does kind of struggle into Ogerpon, but I think he could maybe prep around it with like some random, like not White Herb and like some other item. Like a boosting item. So we'll see about that. And then Alcremie is actually solid here. I can't dismiss it completely, though. Like not great into stuff like Fez, not great into Delphox, but an Acid Armor, Draining Kiss, Stored Power, Calm Mind set could be potentially annoying. So we have to be ready for it if it comes. King Gambit, which by the way I helped make this team. Like this is the definition of a team that you'd want to have. Like even Pokemon like Alcremie, which is like a Pokemon you wouldn't really expect, you have to prep for it because like there is sets of it that can just like win games if it's broad. Like same with the Yanmega, only 4 points, and like versus my team is very bringable and actually like very viable compared to like stuff like some others like slightly higher tiered, low tier pickups. By the way, getting Tusk round 5 is insane. Has a King Gambit, and I think that's solid here. We have to be careful about that, but we do have stuff like First Impression, Slitherwing. Garchomp can take that on okay. He does have to be a little bit careful about like Terapagos or Pheasantipity, like with Terra Shell. So yeah, let's get into the actual team building aspect of it. I'm gonna bring a offensive Delphox with 3 attack substitute obviously there for Sucker Punch on King Gambit, and felt a little better than something like Will-O-Wisp because of the fact that Willow felt like if he got the play right and just went for raw Kowtow, I feel like I lose that exchange more than I win it. So I felt like Sub, at least, like it forces him to make the Sucker Punch play potentially 4 times, though. With this stupid EV investment, it should have been it's only 3. So yeah, you at least waste PP. Actually, what is it? I think you got to get right 5 times because I sub 4 times, and then like granted if rocks are not up, so 4 to 5 times you have to get that play right. So any of one of those times, if I click Flamethrower instead, or if he doesn't click Sucker Punch, then I win that exchange because I am now killing your King Gambit for free and my substitute's up. I don't know if Flamethrower always kills every variant of King Gambit, but it would be interesting to know. Next we have Garchomp. This is a beautiful set that took me so long to concoct, but we finally made it, like, right before the game. Was really tossed up between, like, Rocky Helmet. Should I run something like a Loaded Dice set? Loaded Dice didn't feel good because even though offensively it's great, Tusk kind of walled it. And I really wanted Rocks here, but I really liked the Terapagos set that I was running with Modest, Terrastorcer, Flamethrower, Calm Mind, Rock Polish. Modest because I only want enough speed to outspeed a Sneasler creeping Ogerpon, which is around, I think, well, I guess this is 530, so I think it's going to be, what, 528 or something. So if he's, like, trying to outspeed it +1 Ogerpon. If not, if he's Adamant, same thing, we outspeed. I just felt like running Timid lost a lot of power potential, and the calcs were good enough where, like, Modest was definitely justified. And then Calm Mind is to, like, 1v1 any other Calm Mind Pokemon, and also at the same time just, like, get ahead with Calm Mind. If I can get a Rock Polish up and he makes a switch, like, on that play, then we can potentially get up into Calm Mind and then just, like, win the game. So definitely something to look out for, Terapagos, but yeah, I felt happy to do boots since I'm not running a lead anymore. I was considering Chople, actually, lead Chople Terapagos, because if you use something like Rillaboom, U-turned out, broke my Terra Shell, and then, or I think more likely Sneasler, Scarf, U-turn into Great Tusk and try to close combat me. We both get a Rock Polish up and a Calm Mind up, and then we Terra Star Storm, and then we were in a really good spot there. I don't think he would ever try to close combat Raw into Terapagos with a Scarf Sneasler. He's always U-turning there, and then he could, like, switch out into something else. Most likely going to be his Great Tusk, because he can take a hit and then fire back with close combat and kill me. If he's running close combat, he could be running Headlong Rush. I do not know. So yeah, if he's not, then we'll see. But anyway, going back to Garchomp, so this set, amazing. You're, like, naive with attack, but, like, with Jolly, what? Okay, so the only EVs that were locked in place where I wanted to outspeed Great Tusk 100% of the time. That was the only thing. If he's not Scarf, I wanted to outspeed him or boost your speed. Then from there, I wanted to make sure that I was defensive. I wanted to be able to live hits from stuff like Rillaboom, King Gambit, Sneasler, and then also, most importantly, Great Tusk, because this is a Pokemon that I want to be able to Rocks up on a Great Tusk switch. No matter what his set is, be able to live the hit, either go for Aqua Tail, Draco, or whatever, and then boom, bada bang. Now, I actually considered White Herb so that I could 2-hit KO Great Tusk with Draco. While that is good, I was like, if he's, like, a more bulky set, if he's AV, that doesn't really work, and then I lose a lot of momentum that way, right? And yeah, I'm gonna make the switch into Cofagrigus anyway after that, but I really liked the idea of a Jetpack because Draco is just solid into his team. He doesn't have really great #1 Dragon Answers and #2 specially defensive Pokemon. So Draco is really, really solid here, even with no special attack investment. I did want to run Naive to make it a little bit stronger here. But that being said, I felt like Draco was still really good, and it actually warranted running Naive, even though I do lose a little bit of traction versus Psychic Delphox, even though I do think it's going to run Psyshock. And I don't think he has really room to run Psychic. He could run it, but I just think Psyshock's a little better. So I felt like Naive was fine, and the only thing I'm kind of losing out on is, like, if he's potentially not Ice Beam and he's, like, mono Water Move on Blastoise. And that could be kind of bad because then I actually would normally live a Water Move at +2 from Blastoise, depending on his item and his set. But with Naive, I don't. So I have to be careful about that, or less likely to. So that's my Draco. And the defenses there to live Ice Spin are guaranteed after Rocks from Great Tusk. Not necessarily something I needed to really invest in. I actually could have invested more in something like special attack maybe, but I think or like attack a little bit to, like, guaranteed live certain things. But I felt like the defense was warranted, and, like, I just liked having defense, and I feel like that was a fair enough thing to do. Like, if I lead Garchomp and he leads, like, a Pokemon that just immediately pressures it and I have to come in later on Rocks, I still want to be able to always live that Ice Spinner for Great Tusk if he's randomly rocking it. So, and then perfectly enough, the attack investment actually allows me to not only KO Sneasler with a Stomping Tantrum, which is there for grassy terrain, but to KO King Gambit, I believe max HP King Gambit. And then on top of that, also almost always kill Delphox after Rocks with Aqua Tail. And you'll be like, Aqua Tail over Liquidation, that's crazy. Well, Aqua Tail is actually like slightly stronger and actually has like, I believe like with Mischance has what, like 80% chance to kill. Maybe it's less than that, I don't know, but it's better than the Liquidation rolls, which are like, I think it's only like 25% of the time I kill. So yeah, crazy situation when Aqua Tail is the move you have to run over Liquidation with 5 base power difference. One of those rare scenarios where it actually is that way. Was considering Fezandipity over Ogerpon, but decided to settle on Ogerpon because it just offensively just so good in this matchup. Like, it's the only switch in is Rillaboom. Like, he cannot switch into Ivy Cudgel to save his life. Blastoise is like, if he's running Shell Smash, like he's gonna be in a tough spot versus this thing. So Ogerpon's solid here. Mid game, even early game, it actually could be really good. We just have to be careful about Scarf Sneasler. Delphox is great because like he can't really Willow me, like, because I still do massive damage with Cudgel. He can't really kill me with anything. So one of those situations that we really just like, I guess maybe if he's like Modest Overheat, I think he might kill. But like most variants, like Fire Blast doesn't kill me, Flamethrower doesn't kill me, so we're in a really good spot with this Ogerpon. So Ivy Cudgel does lots versus team. Hornleech was great to like heal up if we like took some chip with rocks and stuff. Also boosted by Grassy Terrain if he wants to bring that. And then U-Turn's just great because it gives us a way to click something into Rillaboom versus like other Pokemon that we can like position better versus. So yeah, that's gonna be that. And something like Low Kick is really good as well because we can just kill his Kingambit off rip. So already went over to Terapagos, and that's role. It's more of a sweeper this week. And then finally our Cofagrigus, one of my favorite sets this week. We're running Shadow Ball Body Press with Trick Room and Toxic. Originally it was like Giga Drain, AV. Like this and Garchomp gave me so much trouble in prep to kind of find the right set. Terapagos gave me a little bit of trouble to find the right set, but like it kind of like once I was like, I don't really need Aura Sphere, I don't really need Dark Pulse. Rock Polish is great here. Terrastar Storm Flamethrower hits the entirety of his team, and then Calm Mind is like a nice like third option to like boost my attack a little bit, right? Like yeah, having Dark Pulse would be nice to like kill Mismagius like straight up. Like we don't need Calm Mind, but like it is nice. And potentially get like flinches too with Dark Pulse could be nice as well. But I felt like in the end, it, like Calm Mind was just my best last move. But with Toxic, like this set, right? Like Rocky Helmet's great because number one, if so, Draco into Cofagrigus is my thing I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna Rocks on potential lead Sneasler, and then if he goes into Great Tusk, we can Draco into that, get some great damage off. Which is great about Garchomp because we both get damage off and we get rocks up, and then we deny rocks getting removed from Tusk by Cofagrigus. And like the best thing you can do is predict that and go for knockoff. It still only does 40% and he gets Rocky Helmet shit, putting him in range of Shadow Ball. Could this exchange not work out for us? Yes. I was considering running Colbur as well, but that being said, I think Rocky Helmet felt a little bit more consistent because we not only get damage on Sneasler, Kingambit, and Great Tusk, but it felt like it was going to take more than one hit to kill Cofagrigus, or kill Kofag. So there's that. Body Press kills Kingambit most of the time. Does 88 to 100 to Kingambit if he's max HP. If he's not, if he's a lot of speed, potentially trying to creep something like, what do we have on our team? Potentially Bisharp maybe, like a no speed Bisharp, or like, yeah, I don't think he would ever try to creep. I think he would always run like just max bulk and then max attack Adamant. But you know, a man can dream. But Trick Room is great because actually his team's very fast, and switching the speed matchup versus stuff like Delphox and Sneasler, it's just a great way to kind of be like, oh shit. And even like Kingambit, right? Like unless he's like min speed, like he's not outspeeding this. I honestly could run min speed versus this, and I probably should just in case he's randomly predicting that, but I doubt he is. But yeah, Trick Room's great. Offensively, Cofagrigus is great even with no offense, and yeah, it's Shadow Ball Body Press hits majority of his team. And then Toxic is really just there for the Alcremie. Like, I was gonna run Haze, but I'm like, Toxic just hits better, right? Like, it's not great into something like Sneasler, but like, you know, we get very, very solid damage off with Toxic into this Cofagrigus. And like, it basically prevents his Alcremie from like getting that away. And that's another great thing about Rocky Helmet is Draining Kiss. It prevents that from going up. So solid last move in my opinion. And then last but not least, one of the weirdest, but like it all makes sense sets with Slitherwing. Debated between Adamant and Jolly, but ended up picking Jolly because I felt like I wanted to have a way to revenge kill Delphox in another way. If we get chipped down with our team, then we kind of are relying on our own Delphox outspeeding him to take him out. I would rather have a position where we can like flame charge something that's low, and then he can't revenge kill us with Delphox, and he has to rely on something like his Scarf Sneasler and like take a bunch of damage and then like do something else. So unfortunate though that first impression normally is like an 81% chance to kill if he were Adamant on first pressure without rocks up. So even if we end up losing rocks, which I don't think is likely, because I don't think our team really is like gives him a lot of time to do that, it does kind of lower the odds of killing by a lot. So that sucks. But Acrobatics still does so much damage to the majority of his team. Look at his team and look at Acro. Like, Acro versus Tusk does so much. Yanmega takes, like, I think Tusk takes half from Acro. Yanmega dies to an Acro. Miss Mag takes 1,000,000 from Acro. Sneasler dies to that. Delphox also takes, I think, like 70% from it, so that's insane. And then Low Kick is really just there for the King Gambit. Even Alcremie doesn't take Acrobatics well. And First Impression is also nice because we are able to revenge kill something like A's Shell Smash Blastoise. So it has a lot of utility there. And then Flame Charge is like the last move. Bulk Up just didn't feel like amazing here. Like, I didn't really see myself like clicking Bulk Up. I think I'd rather just get damage off with this thing. Debated something like Leech Life maybe, but like honestly, yeah, like Low Kick is there for Gambit to kill, and we don't have to risk losing or lower our defense in the process, which potentially could put us in range of like a Sucker or not Sucker. I guess he's like Chopple. That's the only situation with this is Suck if he's like very defensive and he's like Chopple, and Low Kick doesn't kill in close combat, has a chance to. So that's the only scenario where I could see close combat being better, but Low Kick is nice. It does do like slightly less, but anything that's taking close combat, I guess like Tusk, I guess, but Tusk I think also takes max damage from Low Kick, so it doesn't matter. Okay, let's get into the actual game. All right, so he ends up bringing basically the best team he could. I think Yanmega over Miss Mag would have been a little better, but maybe he was didn't want spin to be done with Terapagos. So preventing spin is there, but we also lose a Pokemon that could be very offensively potent. So we're going to play our game plan to a T. We're going to lead Garchomp versus his lead Sneasler. Amazing. He is most likely Scarf. That actually shows to be Adamant Scarf. I didn't calc it at the time, but if I was actually curious about that later in the game, I could have calced that U-turn and been like, oh, that's more damage than a Jolly U-turn ever does. That a Jolly Scarf U-turn, I should say. So something like Terapagos guaranteed outspeeds +2. So he goes into his Great Tusk. We get up our rocks here. Amazing. We're going to go for Draco. Do 51%, which is like a little less. It's probably a little bit of bulk, probably like a little attack, probably like Adamant, and then like enough speed for like what's it called? I feel like he'd run around Jolly though, right? Like you run around Jolly for Trap, but maybe he's only like creeping modest Terapagos because maybe he's like, oh, he's not running Timid here. So we're gonna eject Peck out, go to Kofagrigus. He gets up his own rocks. Which is much better than knockoff here. Like, obviously, it sucks getting rocks up because those are there to stay. But, that being said, we do have Boots Terapagos, so I'm not super concerned about it, right? Because, like, our team isn't, like, that rocks weak. So, anyway, we are going to go into... we're going to go for Trick Room here. Which is going to mean so that, like, a great situation for us because now we can freely go for Trick Room. We're not in Sucker Punch range, and now he's, like, having to force to switch around this. So he most likely was I don't know what he was expecting there. Maybe he was expecting, like, a Giga Drain, a Psychic. Like, he didn't want to lose Tusk there, and he was just going to do his Miss Mag and probably didn't want to risk me going, like, for a raw body press, something like Gambit. So at this point, I go for Trick Room, and I'm going to Shadow Ball here. As we're going to do that, and maybe he thought we were Nasty Plot and didn't want to risk me setting up Nasty Plot there, which I think is very fair play, but at the same time, we're just going to go straight for the body press. He is not Chopple, and we just straight knock out the King Gambit, which is amazing. Amazing start, like literally perfect scenario. Our Kofagrigus is at full, Trick Room is up, and yeah, we're in a really amazing spot. And now it's even better is unless he's super bulky on this Tusk, which we don't know, but like more than likely it still puts him in range, even if that was a low roll in Draco, with Shadow Ball putting him in range of Rocky Helmet Chip. And since we're faster, it means that he actually is going to die to Rocky Helmet, but we're not going to lose our helmet. So we does 43 with that Shadow Ball. He's going to knock off, and he dies to Helmet, and we don't lose it. So that means that something like Sneasler is going to have to come in to just U-turn out, because like he can throat chop, but then like that puts him in a bad spot after that. So he basically has to U-turn on this play in order to put him in a good position and position himself with Miss Mag. So he's going to go Sneasler. We're going to do Shadow Ball. I was initially going to run Psychic on this Confagrigus, but I decided on Toxic last minute because I didn't want to lose to Creamy. Was that the right play? I don't know. I think it was like fine. I think like in this case, we just would have killed this Sneasler. We end up critting, which does suck, because now after Rocky Helmet, he's in range of 2 rocks chips. Otherwise, he would be a lot of better range of health. Still would have been in range of like a first impression with a little bit of chip, but yeah, it does suck, right? So you're gonna take chip here. If we didn't crit, that would have done what, like 53 would have done what, 37 ish. So he would have been at like 15. I guess it would have been a little bit more, right? 38. Yeah, 38 or so. So it would have been 16% less. 38, 20%. So he would have been at like 32%. So that's an unfortunate extra bit of damage there. After one more rock, so I think he is in range of first impression. Maybe 2 more rocks, he's in range of first impression. So not the end of the world there. He also has to consider Garchomp and other Rocky Helmet chip as well. So he's going to go hard to Miss Mag. This position where I can pretty freely go Terapagos. I was kind of trying to save differential. But yeah, so I'm going to go Terapagos. I know he's Shadow Ball. I didn't know if he was a Calm Mind set, but I, in theory, think I can beat this thing 1v1 if he is a Calm Mind set. I don't know if this thing gets agility. Maybe he's like sub-Salac. But I feel like sub-Salac, Calm Mind, Draining Kiss. Like, does that... It might win, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, that would have maybe won the game if I didn't play around it. Like, he obviously has to get into range where a Slackberry is doing that, and get enough Calm Minds to kill something like Terapagos or something. But we also have Calm Mind ourselves, so like, you know, how much is Draining Kiss really healing back, you know? So at this point, I'm like, I don't know what his last move is. He's most likely Shadow Ball, like T-Bolt, most likely for something like T-Bolt or something. Like he's Shadow Ball like Dazzling Gleam or some other like coverage move, and then like his last move is like really weird to me. Is he Nasty Plot? Is he like what is he, Willow? He ends up being Thunder Wave, which is so annoying because now we're in a position where, yeah, we have a Terror Shell, but now yeah, this is gonna be putting us in a weird position. Probably should have just like Flamethrower there, or like Calm Mind is fine. Or like Rock Polish to get like in speed. What sucks is that like if after another Rock Polish, if we were timid, we would have only had to get 2 Rock Polishes to be faster than Delphox. Though I will say after 3, we always outspeed Scarf Sneasler, so that's nice. But we are gonna end up getting paralyzed here, which sucks. And it means that we can't get about. I went for Rock Polish there to try to get out of range of to like put ourselves out of that, and then Calm Mind to like basically force him into something like Sneasler. So at this point, he's going to go Sneasler. I unfortunately am not going to break through Para. I did actually only go for Flamethrower there, but he's in a position where he can only switch this thing once. So like no matter what he clicks, if he clicks Throat Chop here, that's amazing, because then I can just go for Flame Charge and then just potentially just win the game with what's it called? With Slitherwing. So that's awesome. And yeah, is that what we're gonna end up doing? That is the question. We don't do that. So he ends up going for CC, which is equally good. We're gonna go for Trick Room again. At this point, I should have just stayed in hard Shadow Ball, because like if Kofag goes down, I was trying to preserve 6-0, but like if Kofag goes down, that's fine. We like at least preserve turns of Trick Room, and then we can go something like Terapagos and like just kind of click buttons, like we Terra Star Storm. Or we could even go into something like our, what would we have gone? I guess like, yeah, I think best play would have been going Terapagos, but like even if we didn't kill with Shadow Ball, that's fine. Like we go Slitherwing, and then we just like click buttons, right? Because like if we die to the Shadow Ball, which by the way, if he wasn't bulk, which you'll see based on flamethrower damage later, he probably was not any bulk, and that actually was a solid chance to kill. Sneasler dies, he basically has to go Delphox after, and then we outspeed with everything after. So yeah, that's kind of sucks. Could have gone Ogerpon after, and then like I guess he could have T-waved with Mismagius. But yeah, he stays in here. So if we Shadow Ball, then we go well, I guess where do we go? We go our Slitherwing, and then we just like Acro, and then like he goes Delphox, and then we, I don't know what we do from there actually. I don't know. But basically I'm going to switch into Terrapagos again because I know that this Mismagius at the very least can't do anything to me, and we're always going to be slower. I'm going to Calm Mind to try to 1v1 this this Mismag, but honestly I should just Flamethrower it. I like Flamethrowing twice was the best play there. Because it means that we 2-KO this thing, and now this would be the range. Well, we would be a little bit less, but we would have been like 40%, and this Mismag would have been dead, and we would have had another turn of Trick Room, because now we're gonna get paralyzed, and now we just lose Terrapagos. The bright side is that now our positioning is really good, because now we can bring in Ogerpon and always guaranteed outspeed him. So we're gonna go for Ivy Cudgel. If I was Trailblaze there, would have been amazing, but we are unfortunately not. And at this point, I'm like, he goes Delphox because it's literally the only thing he can do to potentially win the game. So you can go Willow to try to beat me versus Blastoise. But I know Hornleech still does like a solid damage and will put him in range of First Impression no matter what. So unless he's Protect, we should be okay. He's gonna go Hornleech, and actually there really shouldn't be anything that he can even kill me with here, so I should in theory be able to Hornleech and just win the game 5-0 here. But he is actually going to be a really solid set here. It's going to be Expert Belt Signal Beam, which that said, if he wasn't Expert Belt, even Modest was like a very low percentage chance to kill, so very tough there to go up then. But solid bring on his part. We'll see if he has Protect. And does he? He does not have Protect. Awesome. So we First Impression, and Slitherwing is going to clean up this game. So Slitherwing getting a very free 2 kills at the end of the game. Exactly what it was intended to do. Kofi put in so much work in this game. Even something like Ogerpon put in a ton of work. So actually 3 Pokemon I feel like didn't get a ton of shine in like previous weeks. Slitherwing put in a lot of work week 1, but it really didn't get any like kills to show for it. Kofag I felt like was instrumental in our last week's win in kind of chipping down Drapion into range of Terrapagos winning the game, but or like breaking the game down. But this week it actually like put in work of like offensively, and then Ogerpon actually literally is the first time ever hitting the field this entire season, which is insane for a top 4 pick. But yeah, it definitely showed its worth in taking out Delphox and Mismag and outspeeding that, and almost coming on top with Blastoise. It would have gotten 4 kills if he wasn't Expert Belt, so that would have been a very solid showing by Ogerpon there. But glad that Slitherwing got some kills at the end there. Okay, so moving on to a very fun game. So our last week's opponent is going to be Ionite of the Undead Legion. And it's the Spectre Mirror matchup. So another Mirror matchup back-to-back. And yeah, so Ionite is 0-2, and Anchorage, this team is 2-0. So a very big underdog fight here. But I will say that Spectre's matchup into the Anchorage team is like absolutely insane. Like there literally is the only resist other than Oink Lone is Samurott to this, and Samurot's like not the best. I will say though, Chestnut is not bad into this if he can run Bulletproof Chestnut. And Chestnut as a whole is actually pretty solid in this matchup. It's pretty good into stuff like Urshifu, pretty like it doesn't take on a Ninetales and Armarouge, but like decent into Alola, can set up spikes when his only removal is Donphan. So I think really leveraging spikes with Chestnut and being like a bulletproof set to beat Spectre could be great. Obviously Drain Kiss is going to be a little tough, but you can even run like something a helmet set so you're not like getting a ton of mileage off of that. And honestly Spadef is like decent because like I guess Urshifu with close combat is going to be doing a lot. But you have a Petrunt, and like Petrunt is a really solid check. So I think what I would run if I was this team is Diancie is a great offensive matchup here. So I think you got to bring Diancie. Tornadus is solid as well, though I do think there is some merit in benching it this week. Spectrier on Anchorage's side is like, it's good, but it's not like incredible. It kind of loses to like some Alola Mola sets. It's like not amazing into Drapion. Like you can like Willow, Draining Kiss stuff, but I don't know. It's going to be kind of a tough uphill battle. I feel like Aloe kind of makes it hard, so I could see kind of leaving it off on the bench this week. So I feel like Torrent T and DNC are like must brings. Petron, I feel like even though it sucks into Spectrier, like it's great into like or Shifu, it's like decent into Ninetales, solid into Electros. It's not amazing into Armarouge, and Scizor, and like Scizor kind of craps on it. But maybe like a Nasty Plot set, you can kind of do some stuff like a Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, Malignant Chain Recover set. Like Parting Shot is like what you're gonna run. So if Ionite can kind of capitalize with Scizor on that, I think Scizor is a really solid matchup. So I think leveraging Chestnut Spikes is like the way to go with this matchup. So he actually doesn't end up bringing Chestnut, ends up bringing the Samurott, which is also fine, but yeah, I guess that's probably better than Chestnut just raw setting up spikes. But does make you a lot weaker to stuff like I guess yeah, because you're a little Armarouge weak. So I don't absolutely hate that, but I do think that it does make you a little bit more Spectrier weak for sure. I do think bringing it over Oinklown was like Oinklown. What is it doing back to Spectrier? I guess it's like lashing out. I guess is like the best thing it can do, but it can just Willow you. Like it can Willow you, and then like I guess it can't ever set up versus you, but you can Willow, Draining Kiss you. So maybe he's like Rocky Helmet. I don't know. Rocky Helmet versus Draining Kiss. He's going to lead Electros as he goes Mystical Fire. I think just going for Moonblast was pretty free there, but I do think I understand him going for Mystical Fire, predicting maybe a Scizor switch. Ionite goes for Coil, predicting just setting it up, and now this like Supercell Slam just boom. So again, kind of the reason why I feel like DNC was, or Oinklown was kind of bad, because your Electros matchup sucks. like I guess you have Petrunt, but at this point now at least you can wrench kill with Samurott and get the Ceaseless Edge off, which is great. He may or may not end up being a defog Scizor. You don't think he's going for Veil here, so I feel like getting another layer of spikes would have been nice there. But now he's gonna go Scizor. I would have Parting Shotted immediately there, because like, you know, you're slower, and like if he goes for Blizzard, that's fine. I feel like you could either go hard at Oinklown, and if you have someone like Firefang or something to deal with this Scizor, then that's good. I also think Brick Break Chestnut, like I think Spikes, Brick Break, Synthesis, and then like Roar would have been really, really good. Like you didn't even need Spikes, right? Synthesis, Brick Break, Roar, and then Knock would have been amazing here. Because then you just like shuffle around the team, you can get rid of Boots and stuff. Like such a good Pokemon in this matchup, because like he has to kind of rely on Armarouge, and yeah, that would have been tough. Obviously having no rockers kind of sucks for I guess going for lead rocks in DNC would have been nice, right? Because yeah, I think honestly like staying non-mega and going for rocks on that Electros, and then going for like Moonblast, like I don't know if a Supercell Slam, because then you go for Moonblast, you probably do like what, like 30-40%. I think you would have maybe put in range of like, you may have been able to get rocks and then to KO the Electros if you'd stayed non-mega the first turn. So maybe he was expecting like a Trailblaze or something, I don't know, but I don't think, yeah, I think non-megaing was kind of not the right play. And you know he doesn't have removal, so like going for rocks is like, or I guess he most likely doesn't have removal. Yeah, I actually don't know if Clear Amulet works with Defog, who knows. So he's gonna go for another SD, and this is like a really solid turn. I don't think Heat Wave kills through Aurora Veil, but he's just gonna crit that Bullet Punch and just like take out that Torn. He's not Life Orb, he's Clear Amulet, so I don't know if that killed or not. I feel like it didn't. If he was defensive, it definitely didn't, and if he was offensive, maybe it killed. Okay, so you can go Brick Break with the Samurott. As he just goes for CC, I feel like having a move like Shadow Ball or something to like at least chip it a little bit to put it in range. I don't know. I mean, there really wasn't a lot of great options there. So now you kind of have to go your Petron. He's going to go for Bullet Punch. He's Rocky Helmet. He ended up not being Knockoff. He's just going to Bullet Punch twice. And yeah, Scizor's going to pick up a couple kills there. 3 kills just for living its life. And now Speldwarn he kind of has to leverage this a little bit, which is it's hard. Now, I will say Spectrier in this late game is very good. It is going to, unfortunately, miss out on the kill. That looks like Specs to me. He's going to go Aloe. He's going to go for Shadow Ball, as that does 26 behind Veil. So that looks like it's... Could be AV Aloe, I don't know. Like, it's unclear. But he's going to Shadow Ball again. It sucks because he's getting Spidef drops when normally that wouldn't have 2-KO'd. So definitely made this a little bit closer than it would have been. But you can pretty freely just go into... or I guess just stay in. Like, you don't really need this Aloe at this point because you still have enough turns of Veil to win with something like Spectrier, so you shouldn't be able to die to a Shadow Ball yourself. At this point, yeah, so Aloe's going to take that game out, and yeah, he's going to try to Body Slam to beat this Aloe 1v1. Most likely Thick Fat for something like the Armorage. At this point, he's just going to like Lash Out to prevent him from setting up. Does a solid chunk, actually, even though through Veil. He's going to Dark Pulse Flinch, and then he's going to do it again to claim that. I actually think if this, I guess Armor should usually beat that 1v1. So Knight picking up a solid first win, 4-0 victory versus a 2-0 team. So very, very great showing by Knight. I think he had great prep. I think Clear Amulet Scizor was really, really awesome. Still able to overcome some mid-game hacks with the Shadow Ball Spidef drops on Aloe, but I just don't think that Speldwarn could really get past losing in one of his best offensively potent options with Mega DMC early in the game. I don't think there was really anything wrong with like using it early, but I think you got to get leverage out of it. Going for something like Stealth Rocks would have put something. I think he was. Did he take damage with that Aloe? Yeah, he was most likely AV. I don't know about that damage, but this was Spectrier, so. Getting up Rocks would have been amazing here because you have AV Aloe. Like a Ninetales would have been dead if you had gotten up Rocks with a DNC, and yeah, if he wasn't boots on that Armors, that would have been bad too. And just stacking up spikes with Samurott. So that's what I really think the game plan should have been, but unfortunately ended up kind of falling a little short there. So congrats to Knight. Congratulations, first win, and excited to see what he does in future weeks. Okay. Last but not least, we have Mr. Sean, aka Sxvii, with his Atlantic City Wingles. I don't know why, or Atlantic City Flyers, I don't even know. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, I have to refresh the page because this thing is janked up. Too many things going on. I want too many cooks in the kitchen. Oh, see ya. Versus Nashville Nidokings with Ant. Now, I will say, Ant's matchup is pretty good here, right? You have Mega Zam that always outspeeds Zero Aura and everything on his team, right? You can run Scarf Blacephalon, but Scarf Blacephalon does kind of get annoyed by Sucker or Shifu Single. Tinkaton is a great matchup, but does kind of get worn down by stuff like Urshifu and Nidoking and like Flip Turn Aloe. Abomasnow is a really solid matchup here, ironically, but does exacerbate the Urshifu weakness. Urshifu does really kind of annoy this team a lot. I think Mudsteel is solid, but it just gets 2KO'd as well by Urshifu depending on its set if he's banned. So you got to be a little careful there. I actually think Flamigo, unfortunately, it's slower than Urshifu, so that kind of sucks. But Mandibuzz is an okay check, but unfortunately it does not take close combats as well as it would like to. So kind of in a weird position because Urshifu just like outspeeds half of Sean's team, and then like the things that don't, like Blacephalon gets revenge killed, Starmie gets revenge killed, and Zero Aura takes like 1 million from Sucker. So nothing that's faster than Urshifu really like appreciates taking a hit from it. So like 2 of them die, and then 1 like needs a little bit of chip to die. So if Ant can get some rocks up with something like a Registeel or a Nidoking, like it's gonna be really hard for Sean to deal with that. Ninetales with Veil could be annoying here too. But I do think that like Ninetales kind of falls short into stuff like Tinkaton. So I feel like Tapu Lele could do some spicy things. And Speed Ties Kyurem offensively deals with a lot of stuff. Can take a hit from Blacephalon and maybe can take a hit from stuff like Zeraora, deal with Mandibuzz super effectively. Yeah, Nidoking also offensively is really, really bad. Like, Sean does not have a great Earth Power switch in. Like, his Nidoking switch in is like either Kyurem Black or Mandibuzz, and Kyurem Black could potentially getting chipped down over time, so he has to be kind of careful about that. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. Okay, so Ant brings pretty much the exact team you probably should bring. I think Noivern is very interesting. I'm trying to think what else he should have brought over Noivern. I think, yeah, Noivern feels a little bit more consistent to me than Ninetales. Ninetales kind of just gets cooked around by stuff like Blacephalon. At very least, Noivern is a way to take a hit from a Blacephalon as well. So I feel like that's better than, yeah. So I feel like he brought the best team he could. Sean ends up bringing a really solid team as well. I think Tinkaton, very, very solid matchup here. He ends up bringing Chopo, Kyurem Black, which is going to be kind of tough because I feel like Boots could have been really good here as well. But he did need something to kind of like lure Urshifu to kill him. So he's going to lead with his Kyurem Black as he's going to frisk his Chopo Berry immediately, which is great information for Ant to gather because it means that Frisk, like, he's never going to get lured by this Kyurem Black. So it is kind of unfortunate for Sean because like that's kind of like the only point of Resist Berry is this like catch an opponent off guard. With that Resist Berry and then potentially win. So do I think it was the best lead? I think honestly Tinkaton was probably the best lead there, though I do think that into something like Nidoking lead, like I think Tinkaton would have been a little bit ass. So, but I think getting like a knockoff off would have been fine. Or like even just going straight for rocks. But yeah, he doesn't have great Nidoking switch-ins at all, so he has to be kind of careful with that. And at this point, he basically has to switch into his Tinkaton because Draco's very possible here. Is Ant going to go for U-turn? No, he goes straight for Draco, so Sean gets that play right. As he goes into Aloe, which is very free into this Tinkaton. Is he go for rocks here? As, yeah, really not much that Ant can do. What I like about Noivern is that he can defog away hazards. So we'll see if he's like a Boots defog berry, which I think is very good. I think Boots defog Flamethrower Draco is actually really, really solid into Sean's team because you resist Aqua Jet from Starmie, and then you also do a ton of damage back with Draco. And though it can kill you with Ice Beam if he has it, you can be pretty reckless with Noivern. You outspeed it naturally, so that's nice. He's gonna knock as he's gonna get rid of Boots on Abomasnow, which kind of sucks. As he goes raw into Noivern, I think having Freeze Dry, which would have been so nice for Sean. I actually recommended I don't know if he's not gonna remember I said this, but I feel like there's a lot of times where I feel like Freeze Dry was the best thing to run. I feel like Giga Drain, while good to kind of get some like leverage versus like stuff, I feel like he does. So he ran Ice Hammer, right? But I feel like in this scenario, this is where you would have loved to have Freeze Dry, right? Because nothing switches into Freeze Dry on his team, right? Like, you definitely wanted something for Registeel, right? But like Freeze Dry just, like he switch in his Aloe to an Ice move, and that doesn't take stuff to Freeze Dry. Obviously, you can go Ninetales, but I think he was running Brick Break on his what's it called, Registeel. So I feel like Freeze Dry would have been a little bit better than maybe like Ice Shard is obviously important, but yeah, I think Freeze Dry would have been nice. He's gonna go Giga Drain there, and he's unfortunately not gonna be able to pick up the kill with Ice Shard. He's gonna Flamethrower there as he gets the burn, which this end up being really, really important because it puts him in range of rocks later. But what's awesome is that he's natural cure, so the burn actually isn't like super important in terms of like just neutering the Starmie. Gonna put Tinkaton in a decent position. Rocky Helmet is gonna be kind of annoying. And Tinkaton is getting chipped, but at the very least, we get rid of Rocky Helmet on Aloe, which isn't super nice because like you don't really need it versus like Special Kyurem and Special Abomasnow, but still nice nonetheless. I think going hard Aloe or going hard into Abomasnow would have been okay there because you take so little from a flip turn. And at that point, you kind of like can get some more momentum versus Noivern. He's going to knock off the boots on Noivern. And I would have maybe just gone for Gigaton. Because then, like, yeah, you're putting... I think saving it was fine. And now Draco to 68. Now this thing is in Rocks range and has Rocks on his Nidoking. I think going for Zen Headbutt was probably a little better there because at this point, like, do you really need to flip there? I think just getting taking out this Noivern. I don't know if he had it, but I think going for Zen there would have been just good to just kill this thing to get up Rocks for sure with Tinkaton later in the game. So having this thing in round is really annoying, and I think going for a flip turn was a little bit preemptive because you can just go it on the next turn versus Aloe, and then like you're in a different situation. Yeah, it does put this thing in Ice Shard range, but... And then I think going Blacephalon might have been a little bit preemptive, right? Because you still have a Nidoking at full health. You still have a... what's it called? A Lilimola at full health. Like, yeah, he can go Lele on the Ice Shard, but, like, I think at the very least getting Abomasnow in is, like, forcing more pressure than Blacephalon is. So, like... Aloe can very freely just come in here, right? Like, it's getting Spadef drop, but, like, it's not the end of the world because it takes 2. And now you're going to go into your Abomasnow, right? Whereas, like, so... Yeah, so he's going to go Flamethrower here. Not having a way to really deal with this Aloe, he's going to miss Draco, which... kind of sucks a little bit because now this thing would have been at like 20% and then coming back in at 50%. He's going to substitute as you know that he can't Chople him, and I think does he go straight for close combat here? Or no, he goes for sub again and then he goes for close combat. But what's good about weak armor Mandibuzz is that he's able to just get that weak armor boost, and then he's able to put this thing in range of another Brave Bird afterwards. So kind of in a nice spot here. I would have roosted here if I was him, or no U-turns, which is fine. Same shit. And Tinkaton's going to come in here. He's going to probably go for skill swap, expecting the flip turn. We'll see if this thing ends up going for a flip turn. It does, but now a skill swap is going to be really cool for getting momentum. So this is going to be tough because now you're in a position where Starmie dies to Rocks. You don't really have a great Nidoking switch in. You really didn't have a great Nidoking switch in general. Maybe like an Air Balloon. Honestly, no, because Air Balloon Tinkaton would have been bad to Flamethrower, so maybe you wouldn't have run that. But that's my game. So kind of like just playing around with this Nidoking and kind of trying to like defog or something. But Ice Beam is doing a lot to this thing, and you really can't stall it out. Obviously, you're never gonna freeze, but like you can U-turn and then bring in some stuff. So Starmie dying is kind of unfortunate. And actually, probably I don't know if that was the right call, but like what else are you doing? I guess you could like maybe go like hard. I honestly maybe going hard Blacephalon, but like does Blacephalon even kill Nidoking is the question, right? And taking damage could be really, really bad. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of like Alola stall tactics. He's gonna Stealth Rock again, which is nice, but at this point, like rocks are kind of like whatever. Like it's nice for Noivern, but that's about it. And I think maybe it was a little over loud. He's actually gonna be slower than Kyurem, which is like a huge deal because that means that like Kyurem can't just kill that Nidoking, or at least put it in like a really good range of health. So being speed was really nice there. I think like being minus attack might have been maybe a little bit better. Minus speed kind of sucks, but I guess if you if he was expecting to be slower than Nidoking anyway, then I guess it doesn't really matter, right? But he was very slow on this Nidoking spread. And so now he has to Brave Bird in order to be enough damage for this. And yeah, so now Steffon's gonna come in and Fire Blast. And now he's gonna go Noivern, which this thing is Scarf, so you know that. Gonna hit another Fire Blast and go from there. So Aloe's gonna come in. It does live this, but I think it would have done a lot. Like Draco from Kyurem did a lot, but that's a +2 Blacephalon. I'm actually very curious to know how much that did. Who knows? But it probably did like 57 is my guess. 56 to 57, maybe even 60. 50 to 60 sounds about right. And yeah, so Tinkaton's gonna come in here, but it can't really do much to get rid of the flip turn here. So yeah, so Lele's gonna come in and then he's gonna go for Iron Defense, and unfortunately with that he is going to get the weakness policy boost. So I think that was kind of the nail in the coffin, because now your Tinkaton just dies to get Sword Sand or Stored Power plus Draining Kiss or other Stored Power. Like, yeah, you can outspeed and kill with Blacephalon, but losing your Tinkaton really just sucks versus stuff like Mega Zam. So, and you always kind of win with Sucker Punch or Shifu. Yeah, so kind of an unfortunate situation. Like, he basically has to go for Shadow Ball there, and then he can't really do much with Abomasnow after. So, yeah, kind of a tough game there. And is going to pull up the major upset versus Sean. Was very cool to see, but I also was really sad. I think Sean, I don't want to say I got out prepped, but I think Ant had like really solid prep with U-turning. He didn't even have a U-turn Noivern. He was just making good, like he could just switch into Aloe. I think Aloe kind of got the better of Sean. I feel kind of bad because I feel like I kind of deterred him from clicking other moves into it. And you know, who knows, maybe if he ran like a toxic set on his Kyurem, it would have been different, but I feel like not super different because of the fact that he was like flip turn and stuff. I think he just doesn't have a lot of great knockers. And yeah, I think Starmie getting burned sucked because it lost another Turn of Rocks chip. Maybe the sack was hard to figure out. But yeah, I think just having the inability to beat Yoking was a major kicker. And maybe like Boots Kyurem was in a really bad spot too. But at the very same time, you know, maybe something like Dragon Pulse would have been, but you know, sub or Shifu was like amazing too, because you knew that he was gonna get forced out by something with it, so you can basically get a free move on the next turn. So that was actually like some of my favorite prep that I've seen from Ant ever. So yeah, that's gonna be week 2 match. I'm tired as hell, guys. I'm gonna be honest, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.